Okay, so you can see my palette pretty much on the bottles as well as on the paper. I did forget to press record, so what I did was this first layer of color blocking. Nothing crazy dramatic, nothing, you know, that you can't figure out by looking at the page, but let's do some just some patterns, just a second layer. Again, I don't really have any plans. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and then come back and play with some black gesso, kind of thinned down to mellow this out and see what happens. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and pause this and I'll see you in a few. Okay, so here is everything dry and I want to play with the black gesso straight to mask out some of the color and also watered down to see if I can just tone the color down a little bit. So for contrast, let's leave some of the bright colors in. Okay. Well, my first go-to doodle is always a spiral. So what I'm going to try and do, I know it's hard to see those pencil lines, but I'm going to try and leave those pencil lines as straight paint. I could put a gloss gel on them and it would work like resist to keep the gesso off, but that would be more drying time, and I kind of want to play with this now. My gesso is a really old jar, and it's very thick, very soupy thick. So I like to mix a little bit in the lid and try and get it to be a normal consistency, and then I'll have some that I water down more. But, I mean, it goes on dark black, and you can definitely mask things out. It's kind of fun to have all this color underneath and then this black background. It's, in a way, working kind of like negative space. So I didn't thin any down in a dish. I just rinsed my brush mostly clean. So right now I'm just trying to move this water around a little bit so that it doesn't puddle too much, but you can see, especially up here, how this just dirty brush is great. I'm going to do more on this side that is thinner, because I've established such a heavy black in the center. I want to play with more of the transparent sections. So that pretty much is what I wanted to try. Now that I've tried it, I have some thoughts. I definitely need to add some distilled water and just make my whole jar of gesso a little more fluid, because it's honestly like peanut butter. And so that's hard to work with. I think if I were doing this again, I would put some gesso in a dish and thin it with water so I had a quantity that was significantly thin, so that it wasn't as unpredictable as just kind of doing that with water and my brush. The nice thing is, though, that it's gesso. It's got a little tooth to it. So if I wanted to come back in and do something on top of this black, I could. I think for me visually, there's a little too much color popping through. I'm really happy with the hazy areas, but the colors are so intense and they're not my normal palette. So I will probably come back and add some text with just a black Posca marker, a paint marker. And so that will keep going with the black versus color contrast, but it'll knock down some of the color. So, you know, if you're so interested, leave one of your favorite kind of inspirational quotes in the comments below, and we'll see what pops into my head. What quote would you put on your page for inspiration? But for right now, I'm going to set this aside and let it dry and go work on some other stuff. But thank you for checking with me on this weekly spark, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one. Bye.